Maybe you already think you know. Maybe you don't have a clue. I've been in both situations in my life, trust me. Maybe you've lost your way. You could be young and confused, or you could be in the midst of a life transition, changing jobs, getting over a relationship, or just done feeling like, man, I'm out of fuel right now. Look, I've been there. It could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year, okay? Throughout life, or for different reasons, I've had to ask myself questions like this again and again. What am I doing right now? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my purpose right now? What is going to get me excited again? Look, when you identify why you want to achieve something, you can fully and completely get obsessed with achieving that thing. This obsession, finding your new obsession, is what you will need to blow away all barriers, opposition, the competition, and all the things that you didn't plan on so that you can actually achieve your goal. You can obsess about anything. Yes, you can obsess about anything. It's your choice. We've already talked about negative obsessions, including drugs, wasting time on social media, and all the other activities or non-activities that produce not constructive outcomes. There are also the positive obsessions. Look, you could be obsessed with spin class. That can't be bad for you. Or losing weight. It can't be bad for you until you become anorexic or start throwing up. You could be obsessed with getting in shape. I don't know how that would be a bad thing for you, but I guess it could, or doing a cleanse. Look, the truth is you can be obsessed with supporting anything and everything. It's your choice. You could be obsessed with supporting a charity. You could be obsessed with helping an ill parent or conceiving a new baby, starting life, transitioning life, or ending life. You could get obsessed about any of those three. When I'm talking about obsessions, though, I'm talking about those obsessions that are worthy of your attention, your energy, your money, and your creativity, and your commitment. I'm talking about those things that deserve your attention because they support your purpose. Look, the two are related, but they're not the same thing. I was obsessed with getting rich because my purpose was to make sure my family never had to worry. It wasn't to accumulate stuff. I was obsessed with getting rich because I wanted to take care of my family. I didn't want to have to worry like my mother did. I was tired of seeing myself and my family mentally scrape and struggle in the middle class, again, like I did as a child. Purpose is the holy grail of being obsessed for the right things. Purpose. I see purpose as a person's reason for doing something, or the reason for which someone or something even exists. Why do you exist? The why. It's the why of all whys and the fuel for all your obsessions. Man has been looking for this why for probably since the beginning of time. To get you started on the path to thinking big, then even bigger, then massively giant, it'll happen to you, I promise you. As you move toward your purpose, I'll tell you that just because I started this road of obsession doing sales in a car dealership doesn't mean I love that job. In fact, I hated that job. It wasn't anywhere close to my dream job. It wasn't a job that I thought I deserved. It wasn't even what I was passionate about. The first 2 years I sold automobiles, or barely sold automobiles in my case. I absolutely hated it. I hated the way people treated me. I hated my business card. I hated the idea of being a car salesman. But when I changed my mind and decided to become obsessed with making myself great at that job, and eventually, not only did I love the job, I mastered the art, and I realized this very thing that I had resisted and hated and degraded and made wrong and criticized and judged, it was the way out for me. See, thanks to my dad, I have never been stuck believing I had to like something in order to commit myself to it. I think a lot of people are really greatly confused. I need to love my job to be good at it. No, you need to learn how to perform like you're obsessed with something that you hate until you're great at it. Then you're in control of your life. Look, when I was 9 years old, I remember watching my dad working in the yard. Is one of my last memories. It was winter in Lake Charles, Louisiana, on this beautiful piece of property that my dad had finally purchased. He had bought his dream home. He was obsessed with that idea, and now we had it. We had some 50 giant pecan trees on this yard. And with those pecan trees, as beautiful as they were, during the winter, it would drop branches and pecans and leaves and all the problems that 50 trees would create. And my dad and I are working in the yard. I think it's February. It's cold. It's blistering. It's a little wet, humid. And I'm watching my dad pick up pecans and sticks and leaves and stuff them into a trash bag and replace that trash bag and stuff them into another. He was doing it in such a manner that it looked like he loved what he was doing, attentively and precisely. He's paying attention to everything. Everything's going in the right place. I'm 9 years old, 9.5 years old, and I'm watching him with monster admiration. And I asked him, "Hey, Dad, do you like doing this?" And he replied, "Grant, you don't always need to like what you do to love what you do." And I didn't even understand what he was saying, but I got to work. I'm trying to do what he's doing. I'm trying to catch up with him. But in that moment, looking back now, I realized my dad taught me, you don't need to love what you're doing to love what you're doing. My father was obsessed with taking care of his family. My father was obsessed with attaining success so he could provide for us. And that meant doing things I'm certain he didn't like or even want to do. Simple as that. I remembered this lesson at a critical time in my career when I committed finally to being a great car salesman, even though I didn't like the job. Look, I acted like I loved it. I just changed my mind. I became obsessed with loving that job. Becoming great at that job is what I became obsessed with. I learned to become obsessed with the very thing that I hated. And interestingly enough, it replaced all the things that were killing me that I thought I loved. Look, I acted like I loved it, even though I didn't particularly like it. I put a smile on my face when a customer wouldn't even shake my hand. I learned how to smile through that. I sat making endless cold calls. Who wants to do that? No one. To people who hung up on me or told me to never call them back again. When everyone else was going home to watch the game or eat with their family, I was still there at 10, 11, and sometimes midnight making deals. As you find your purpose and identify those things that you want to become obsessed with, remember, you do not need to love the job. You do not need to love the activity. You don't even need to feel passionate about it to become obsessed enough to be successful. By the way, you will need to become obsessed. You don't have to be passionate. You don't have to love it, but you will have to become obsessed in order to grab success, maintain it, and go get some more. So regardless of where you're at, what you love, what you're passionate about, what you like and don't like, it's still important to figure out what your obsessions are. Because if you don't know that, okay, you're not going to know where to throw your attention, where to fuel, where to spend your time and energy and money. Figuring out what your purpose is. To understand what my purpose is and to keep fueling that purpose, you and I must constantly ask ourselves questions. Now, these questions I use have opened my mind up to so many directions, inspired me to accomplish unbelievable things way beyond my belief, and kept me alert to opportunities in sync with the obsession I was trying to fuel. When you start answering these questions, do not second guess yourself. Just answer the question, go with the first answer regardless of what it is, or even if you like it. Answer the question with the first response that comes to you without any judgment and without trying to figure out especially how you're going to arrive at the answer. You're obsessed about building a 25,000 square foot house. And you're like, dude, I'm a single person. Don't add that, okay? If that's what goes on in your mind, I say, what kind of house you want? I want a 25,000 square foot house. I want 6 of them, whatever. And you don't know how to get the money, why you'd want that. It doesn't matter. Don't add anything. No color. Just answer the questions in this exercise. You don't even need to decide to follow through on anything that you write down. Just ask yourself the questions. Then at the same time tomorrow, I want you to do it again. And then do it again the next day and the day after that. And over time, you may notice that you're going to come up with new answers, or that the same answers keep coming up, or that some things that you used to write down, you don't write down anymore. See, you may be surprised to see patterns or be reminded of a dream that was buried long, long ago, something maybe you've given up on. So this exercise is best done if you're able to sit down and write it down. If not, if you're driving on a long drive across country or something, then just think, take a moment and think, what's the first answer? But tomorrow when you do it, the day after that, sooner or later, you got to sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil or on a notepad on your iPhone or your Android and write it down. Okay, first category, personal interest. Ask yourself, what excites me right now? What thing, what activity, what job, what game What excites you right now? Number 2, what's so exciting to you right now that you would do anything to accomplish it? What is so exciting that you would literally drive yourself through a wall or jump off a building in order to accomplish it? Number 3, what bores you? What bores you that you don't want to do? Tasks you're doing now, jobs you're doing now, things that you do, maybe some game you play over and over that now bores you. Number 4, what is the thing or things I have always wanted to do? Or in this case, you have always wanted to do. What is a thing or things that you have always wanted to do in your life? Could be a vacation, could be a job, it could be an adventure, it could be time off, whatever. What don't you want to do? No matter the payoff, you would not do this particular thing or activity or job or adventure, no matter how big the payoff, you wouldn't do it. What do you do that causes you to forget to eat? Remember those times where you forgot lunch, dinner, worked late into the night, realized I didn't even eat lunch today? What are those things that cause you to forget to eat? What have you been interested in since childhood? Those old dreams, those big dreams. You wanted to be an astronaut maybe, or in the Olympics. What is it you've wanted to do since you were a child? Money motivation. Ask yourself these questions. What are you willing to do for no money? You may say to yourself, nothing. I'm not going to do anything for no money. Trust me, you're doing stuff every day for no money right now. What are you willing to do for zero money? Number 2, what would you like to do for a lot of money? Like if you had your dream job, your dream activity, what would you like to do for some stupid, ridiculous, crazy bank? Number 3, if money had nothing to do with your life, what would you do with your time? If money meant nothing, what would you do with your time every day? Number 4, what amount of money would give you the security that you believe you need? $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, $1 billion. What's the number? Remember, first answer that comes to your mind. What amount of money would you need to have complete and total financial freedom? What amount of money would you need to have choices in your life? Different than the question before, answer this one now. What amount of money would you need to have choices in your life? What amount of money would you need to have complete and total financial freedom? Different answer than previous. What amount of money would you need to really make a difference for the better, not just in your life, but in the lives of others? So that money category is going to get you really thinking about what is enough money? How much money do you really need? How much money do you need to have choices to make a difference in your life, to have freedom, and to make a difference in the life of others? Try doing that money exercise every day for the next 30 days and see what happens to you. Skills and talents. What can you do better than anyone? What is the skill or the talent that you have that makes you better than anyone else on this planet? Put something down. Even if you're not believing in yourself or feeling good right now, write down something. Number 2, what are some of your native skills? Native being native to you. They're just original. They're yours. You don't even know where they came from. Skills that are almost not even learned. They're innate to you. You have them. What have you always been good at? First answers only. What have you always been bad at? Can't be good at everything. What skills or talents do you have that you ignore? Is there a skill or talent that you're ignoring, that you had, that you used to use, that you are now not using, that you're ignoring, that maybe you're actually denying in yourself? What are you terrible at and shouldn't ever be doing? What do you do that is a complete waste of your time and talent? Is there a job or an activity that you're doing today that is a complete waste of your time and your talent? So I'll give you an example, okay? Things that I do in my life that are a complete waste of my time and my talent. I don't want it to influence you, but it's It's kind of a hard question because you're like, well, you're telling me to do things that I don't love to do and learn to love them. And then you're asking me a question like, what do you do that's a waste of your time and talent? It's a different thing. I'm not saying you need to love it. I'm saying me picking up branches and pecans, okay, and leaves is a waste of my time and talent today. Now, when I was 9 years old, my dad's teaching me this and we're doing it. Truth is, it was probably a waste of my dad's time and talent. He should have paid somebody to do this, right? He could have been writing his book at that moment. So I just want you right here to write down, what are the things you're doing in your life? You know, are you washing dishes all day? Are you spending 4 and 5 and 6 hours with your newborn? What are you doing that's a complete waste of your time and talent? I'm not saying a new mother would be wasting their whole day, but maybe you need some help. Maybe there comes a point where you nurture the child and you get somebody else to help you raise that child. That means you got to get obsessed with the category above this that was about getting your money right. See, I see so many executives spend time and energy and talent and resources on things they hate, things they're not good at, things they should not be doing, and it's a complete waste of time, effort, energy, and talent. How about this? Those 1.5 hour meetings where nothing got done. It's a waste of time and talent. Okay, next question. In what areas do others think more of your abilities than you think of your own abilities? Okay, there's a lot of abilities in my life. People think, oh my God, you do that great. Okay, I don't think as much of that. So what are some things in your life, some areas where others think more of what you do than you actually think of you? And the last one is, what are some skills you need to develop in your life? You have attention on them. You know you need to develop these skills. See what we're doing again, okay? In this exercise, I'm showing you how to find your purpose and develop what you're going to be obsessed about. Market research. What is a product or service that you've complained about repeatedly over and over and over again? This is how Uber was founded, by the way. How many people complain about taxi cabs? Go take forever to get here. Guy doesn't speak my language, doesn't know where he's going. Car's dirty. So, how many people complained about that? Billions of complaints. One person changes it all. Look for the things in your life that you repeatedly complain about, and I promise you, you're going to find something so exciting. Number 2, what great idea have you had for starting a company or inventing something but have not yet done it? Legacy. What do you want to be remembered for 100 years from now? What do you want people to say about you? Because I promise you they won't talk about how much money you had. What contribution can you make to society that you would be so proud of? I'm getting obsessed just asking you the questions, okay? What do you want to make sure people never say about you? Other inspiring people. I want you to write down 5 successful people that you admire as fast as you can. What are their names? Number 2, what are those people doing that you admire? What have they done in their life that you admired the most? Number 3, what do those you admire have in common with each other? I want you to link them up. What's the common link, characteristic, the behavior, the action? What quality do you wish you shared with that list? What do you have in common with each of those people? And nothing is not an answer. If you could meet anyone, dead or alive, and spend time with them, who would it be? Lastly, who is the most supportive person in your life today? Now, this starts grinding on people right here because they're like, man, nobody's really supporting me at this level. If you suffer from this need like I do, to do something excellent, to do something bigger, to like tap into my full potential, you are constantly, I assure you, I know this, okay, from personal experience in my own life and from talking to other people, you are probably constantly reminded of the people around you that do not understand you and are actually trying to change you. But I want you to look at who has always been supportive of what you want to do, that you're a maniac, they support it, that you want to do giant things and they support it. Who are those people? And by the way, if you don't have those people in your life, don't blame them, blame yourself. Because they're out there. I'm out there. I'll support you. Okay, lifestyle. What makes me feel good? What makes you feel good? What makes you feel so happy? You're like, I love doing this activity. Okay, what gives you energy? When you do this thing, even if you didn't want to do it, it gave you energy. Maybe it's a phone call, okay? Maybe it's getting all the ugly stuff out early in the day, getting it done. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe, I don't know what it is. What gives you a lot of energy? Number 3, what activity bores you and does not make you feel good? Now, that could be things that actually you believe cause you pleasure. You understand? There's things you could be doing in your life that you're actually now bored with, you used to enjoy, that you now bores you, that no longer makes you feel good. Maybe drinking actually doesn't make you feel good. I've had people tell me, man, until I listened to you, I was thinking I enjoyed drinking, and then I realized that 5-hour hangover the next day was not fun. See, once you become aware of what you're actually doing in your life that feels good, that pays off, that works, that allows you to be obsessed and purposeful, then you'll start making different decisions about it. Okay, next one. What things are you doing that you later regret? Felt good for a moment, tomorrow you regret it. There's an old saying in Las Vegas, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Not true. It goes with you everywhere. All right, what bad habits do you need to stop? What good habits do you need to start? And what do you need to do more of that would make you feel better about yourself? What if? What if you were going to write a book? What would it be about? What inspirational lessons would I draw from your life? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? If you could be known for just doing one unbelievable great thing, what would that one thing be? Okay, there's a lot of questions in there. There's a lot for you to think about. I'm sure you're either sitting there in front of your computer or at your bedside or in a car driving down the road saying, dude, what have I been doing? Well, let me tell you what this exercise just did. It got you completely focused on what you want to do in your life. What would get you excited? What you should be doing, could be doing, what your talents are. For the last, maybe 6 or 7 minutes, you were focused on you. You just got obsessed with you. That's when your life changes. My life changed when I became obsessed with improving the quality of my life. I can't help others until I help me. You spent the last 6, 7, or 8 minutes completely focused on yourself, hopefully. Okay, what you should be doing, could be doing, want to be doing, what makes you feel good, what doesn't. And for 6 or 7 minutes, nobody got hurt in that exercise. Your wife or your husband, they're not less loved. You, by loving yourself for those moments to figure out what your purpose and obsessions are, actually become a better father, a better husband, a better wife, a better mother, a better everything. Look, I'm not asking you to put together a statement of purpose from this one exercise. In fact, I think trying to boil it down to one sentence or one idea of just one purpose is way too narrow for any person. I've heard people say, you got the one why. Wrong, not me, or I'm a freak, one of the two, okay? I don't have one purpose. I have many purposes. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great father. I want to be a great friend to many. I want to be a great church member, okay? I want to be a great giver to society and to my community. I would like to affect politics at some point and make sure all politicians can't even be politicians. I want to be a great businessman, okay? So there's a lot of things I want to do. And as I age, there's other things I want to do. Look, you have the capacity to be obsessed with many, many things, not one thing. Just as you have many purposes in life, not just one, but asking yourself these questions will help you start to focus and identify the positive obsessions and the negative ones that will lead you to your purpose and show you what to fuel, what to provide resources for, and where to put your focus. Look, altogether, your purpose is composed of what constitutes a complete life for you. Ultimately, that's what I'm obsessed with. My life, not a job, not a title, not a business card, my entire life. I'm going to be talking about time management later on, how I believe it's a myth or just another project to manage. Once you know what your purpose is at this time, this moment, because it will change, you can stop the little acts of denial and self-sabotage that are keeping you from moving forward with the life that you're actually obsessed about and have been denying. See, I know that, when I had my whole drug thing and then I went through all these negative, destructive obsessions in my life, it was because I was denying me. Look, you can give yourself permission to be obsessed with your true obsession. Just do it right now. Just right now say, I am giving myself to be obsessed with creating the life, my true obsessions. Because this is the first step. Keeping your obsessions fresh. Look, all your life is a transition. People are like, my life's in transition. Your entire life is in transition. You got 80 billion cells in transition every second of every day. Some dying, some growing, some coming, some being born. Somebody asked me once, are you reborn? Every day, bro. I got 80 billion cells being rebirthed, dying, going away. You're in resurrection, or you're not. Okay, your life is in transition constantly. You will work out what it is you're supposed to be doing and commit completely to that thing, transition. Then there will come a time when you again wonder, hey, what am I supposed to do now? See, you'll hit a transition, you'll conquer that, you get obsessed with this new thing. 25, you want some money. 35, you want a wife. 45, you want some more money, right? 55, you want some time off. I don't know, whatever you're going to go through. And each time you should become obsessed with this new thing. And the process of clarifying your purpose at each one of those transitions over and over again. Last year, for instance, I was working at the Pentagon on a project to help the troops in transition from Afghanistan, Iraq, from the Middle East, back into civilian life here in America. It's a terrible and very difficult transition for career soldiers. 22 military people commit suicide every day because they don't make this transition effectively. Now, these veterans needed to move from an environment where there's lots of structure, tremendous leadership, lots of control, everything's provided, lots of clarity, the mission's clear, and they need to move back to civilian life where, frankly, look, this is a zoo back here. Jobs, companies that can't even start on time, no direction, who's in charge, 12 different vice presidents in one company. I mean, it's crazy. It's chaos compared to what they left in the military, okay? Working with people that are scared to make decisions. They probably had some of that over there too, though. Meetings that don't start on time, go too long, and nothing gets accomplished. Employees complaining about the people they work for in the office where they're being paid. And I told these soldiers, I'm like, hey, man, let me tell you something, okay? From the moment you are born to the moment that body you have right now drops, your life is in transition. From the moment you were born to the moment that body drops, your life is in constant transition. So quit having this like pity party, like, oh man, I'm retiring. Oh man, I got to move. Oh man, I got a divorce. Hey, welcome to your life. You're in transition. It's not just the start and the finish that matter. It's all the stuff in between. What are you doing with it? Are you obsessed with the new opportunities and the new transitions and the changes? Look, those who are really alive, the people on this planet that make the biggest difference, know how to keep updating and refocusing their obsessions as I drive down the road of my life. As the road changes, as I go over bridges, as there's floods, as there's storms, as there's problems, as I run out of fuel, as I go on this trip, as life changes and as opportunities come and go, I have to get obsessed with the new part of this adventure, knowing it is the destination that I want. Look, it's challenging. I know it's challenging, but you have to redefine who you are all the time and refuel this new obsession as conditions change, as your life changes, as you grow and as you mature and your previous goals are achieved, and maybe even as those old goals no longer entice and excite you. Look, this is going to determine this ability to transition your obsessions on how much you get done in your time on this planet. It is you continuing to recreate who you really are and what you should really be obsessed about today. The key to tying your obsession to your purpose is to always set new goals for yourself. Never be satisfied. Never, ever be satisfied. What happens to the guy that retires or the gal that retires? They're bored. They're irritable. Look, just get around them for a couple weeks. They're bored. They're irritable. They're angry. They're critical. Why? Because they're not working. There's no new game. Look, if I just had $1 million, how many times have you heard this? If I just had $1 million, I'd retire and play golf every day. Then the guy gets there, plays golf every day for 5 hours, becomes a 10 handicap, or an 8, or 6, or 5, watches TV the rest of the day, watches other golfers that are negative 10s, and hates his life. Drinks too much beer, eats bad food, sits in a lazy boy that's paid for, brags about the house that he's lived in for, 38 years. That ain't life, man. That's prison. And that's why you're unhappy. And that has happened to billions of people on this planet. Because we were told, work, create the life you want, and sit back. That's not real. Be obsessed. When he finally got where he thought he was going to be, he quit setting new goals. What actually got the guy what he wanted, he quit doing. Do you understand? He thought he wanted the golf and the lazy boy and the time off and the beer, and then found out, I don't want that. What got him to that place, he quit doing. So of course his life is going to deteriorate. As a result, this individual loses his or her way. Look, just as you reboot a computer by restarting it and reloading the operating system, all people must reboot the purpose and the obsession. We are all in transition. We are all getting older. We are all starting over every day. And things change. We change, life changes. The destination changes, conditions change, motivation change, purpose changes. There's disappointments, there's challenges, there's losses along the way. Look, if you don't stay obsessed with where you are going, you will become that person you don't want to be. Lost, jaded, stuck in losses, stuck in yesterdays, and wasting away today's and your future. Look, I've been there. I struggle with this all the time. I've done it, been there, done that. Don't want to keep doing it, but I know I have to. I have to keep paying attention. When I didn't know why I was getting up every day, I felt like I was dying inside. Have you ever felt like that? Why am I going to work? Why am I doing this? Why am I married? Why am I being a father? Why am I writing this book? Why am I reading this audio program? Look, if you don't know, you're going to die. You're dying inside. You're deteriorating. It's like you cut the apple, nobody eats it. What happens to it? It goes brown. It did not fulfill its purpose. Purpose will keep me and you from spending a lifetime wandering around planet Earth, lost, without direction. Real purpose and obsession with that purpose will keep you from wandering around like, what's happening here? So that you always understand your purpose and what you should be obsessed with at any given time in your life. Let's talk about igniting the power, that power inside of you by every day writing your goals down. Daily goal practice. Okay, I've been doing this for years. Every day I write my goals down. I've talked about this in every book I've ever written. It's so vital. It's so important. It's so enriching. Writing goals down daily is a great tool for staying focused, recommitting, and rebooting. Because again, understand, the destination changes. As this plane goes through the air from Miami to Las Vegas, it must readjust, re-navigate along the way. There's other planes. There's other activity. There might be some weather. I have to change. I have to alter my trip just a bit. And I have to keep in mind why I'm going where I'm going. Just because I get to Vegas doesn't mean I get to Vegas. You understand? I got onto the plane with a certain intention and I got off the plane and I forgot my intention on the plane. That's life. So your job and my job, the successful, the super successful, the geniuses know how to reboot constantly. This is going to also help you keep track, rewriting your goals, keep track of how far you have come from where you first started. And most importantly, this practice is going to keep your attention on what is possible. See, yesterday's achievements don't fulfill anybody tomorrow. Ask any super successful person. Ask an actor that did a movie 3 or 4 years ago. Ask a comedian that was doing a routine 3 or 4 years ago about that. Hey, tell me that joke again. They're like, hey man, to ask Jay-Z about a song he wrote 12 years ago compared to the song he's launching right now. You're stuck in the past. He's not. First, let's clarify what I mean by goals as opposed to purpose. Goals are something you seek to achieve. I want to grab that money. I want to get that girl, right? Whereas purpose is the reason I want the money and the reason I want the girl. See, your North Star, your reason why you do what you do. Why am I going to Vegas? Vegas is the destination. In order to stay obsessed with your true purpose, you need to be obsessed with setting and hitting your goals and continuing to feed your future. I want to feed the future, if you will. I feed my refrigerator for what? For the future. I started writing down my goals. The night I returned from rehab, I remember I sat down and just started writing down the future of my life and got off the past. Look, the past is for psychotics. In order to get focused on what you want to create in your life, you got to keep looking at your goals all the time. Since then, since 25 years old, I have probably written my goals down, I don't even know how many times, 30 years, hundreds of thousands, millions of times. And not just at night, but first thing when I wake up in the morning. I have a legal pad. I keep it by my bedside. I wake up to it. I go to sleep to it. And also, anytime I'm feeling down or lost or disappointed or discouraged, I grab my pad. I write my goals down. It puts my attention on the future. Feed your future. See, what I write, you're investing in your future mentally, right? What I write is not what you would find on a to-do list, just so you understand. This is not, I need to call Bob and John today. I need to do a deal today. I need to make some money today. This is about what I want to create in the future. When I talk about goals for the obsessed, I'm not talking about achieving activities. I'm not talking about a to-do list. I'm talking about wins that are out of reach at this time. I can't even see them. 40,000 apartments. I want to go public on the New York Stock Exchange. I want to create a REIT. I'm going to seed the REIT. I'm going to go public. I'm going to get international attention. Millions of people are going to fund this REIT. See giant things that are out of reach. I'm talking about creating a powerful future, feeding a future, if you will, that pulls me forward. It's not the law of attraction. I want the pull. I want it to pull me to it. And by the way, this is not just about talking positive in a mirror or writing stuff down. This is about massive, obsessively following up your dreams and your goals with action. You're pushing so much energy into this that it pulls you forward. See, this morning when I woke up, for instance, I rolled over in my bed. Scarlett comes in, jumps in bed. I grab my legal pad and I start quickly writing my notes and my goals down. It takes 3 minutes. $4 billion in real estate holdings. I have 400 million right now. I got to 10x that to fulfill that goal. I have no idea how to do that. Okay? It seems so far off. It's almost like I look at it and I'm like, that's impossible. I don't spend time on it. Just write the next thing. Okay? And the next thing. Do not spend time on the mechanic. In fact, the faster you can write it down, the better. And just leave it. Just walk away from it. In fact, what I want to achieve next is so far off. It's further than I've come since I was 25. It seems unachievable, impossible. So just write down the next thing and throw it away. Or keep it in your legal pad. Just write. Just write. Just fuel the future. Just write it as though nothing bad can happen to you. And maybe it'll happen. Maybe not. Look, I write it down. I write it down in past or present tense. I own a $4 billion real estate trust. I own and control over $4 billion worth of real estate. I write it down either as though I have done it or as I am achieving it. I don't write it in the future tense. I want $4 billion real estate portfolio. You understand? I don't write in future tense or as a desire or as something I have yet to achieve, but something I have accomplished. I don't write down I want to do this in the future. I write down, this is done. I own and control $4 billion worth of real estate holdings. Now, some of you have been following me for a while. Maybe you got the 10X rule or you got Sell or Be Sold, or maybe you saw my seminars back in the 90s when I was doing 250 seminars a year around the world. And you remember me talking about goals and how important they are. I am married to a beautiful woman. That was before I was married, okay? I have 2 beautiful children. That was way, way before I had 2 beautiful children. I have 2 beautiful children that love and admire me and think I'm Superman. All that happened way before. I owned 20 apartments. I own 4,000 apartments today. See, I was writing all that down before I achieved this. So you got to keep feeding this future, if you will. Look, if you're committed to feeding your future, tweet me. I'm feeding my future at Grant Cardone, #Be Obsessed. See, I believe that my mind, and I believe your mind, accepts everything as a reality. It just believes whatever you tell it to believe. I'm a nasty person. Your mind says, okay, let's roll. I'm hungry. Let's roll. I need to eat more. Let's roll. I can't work out. Let's roll. See, your mind basically just accepts whatever data you give it. When I started this daily ritual over 25 years ago, I wrote down I own 20 apartments. This was the first time I ever did it. I own 20 plus apartments. I don't even know where that came from. I didn't own apartments, have never read a book on apartments, have never done any research on apartments. I have no clue, as I sat there and wrote as fast as I could, where it came from. The next day it showed up again. 3 days later, it shows up again. 3 months later, it's still on the pad. A year later, it's on the pad. Okay? Now, also throughout that period of time, other things would go. I'm in the perfect shape of my life. That would come and go. Every other week it would show up and it would go away. It was never there all the time. That 20 apartments, dude, it was there every day. My first apartment deal was 8 years later and it was 38 units. Okay. 30 days later, I bought 48 units. 60 days after that, I bought 92 units. Literally within a period of like 4 or 5 months, I had bought over 100 units and my goal was 20 apartments or more. I don't even know why I was writing it down. Maybe because it was buried so deep inside of me that I never even thought about it every day because I was so busy, too busy just doing a job. See, at that time, I hadn't even bought one deal. Again, I didn't know anything about apartments. I didn't know anything about management. I didn't know anything about financing. I didn't worry about any of that when I wrote it down. I don't know how to find an apartment deal, who sells apartments. I was clueless about that space. But something innate, born in me, original to me, wanted me to go buy apartments. Had I not fed that future, I don't think I would have ever bought an apartment. Again, I had no idea when I wrote this down how I would accomplish the goal any more than I knew how I would get my wife or the 2 girls, the 2 daughters that I have, okay? I mean, I got an idea how you get 2 daughters, but I didn't know how to get the wife I wanted. All these goals have seemed unreal to me. I'm going to write best-selling books. I wrote that for 10 years before I ever wrote a book. Still, I wrote it down. It showed up every day. I've written 7 books, 12 best-selling programs. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you, this is magic. You want magic? This is magic. Now, once you start owning apartments, you have to start learning something, right? So now I'm looking at properties, making connections, learning everything I can about them, creating a management company, shopping on weekends. Literally, I'm learning about the space. So what happened was I fed my future, and the next thing you know, I'm having to learn. I'm reaching for books. I'm grabbing information. As soon as I closed my first deal, I rebooted my goals. I remember I was writing down I own 20 apartments. I wasn't even thinking about 4,000. I own 20 apartments. I rebooted. Oh, I could get to 100. I go get 100 in 90 days. I reboot again. Okay. I'll always keep feeding the future. And as I'm writing, as I accomplished the 20, I just changed my goal. It just automatically changed by me having that legal pad. Now I'm writing, I own 100 units that provide cash flow of over 12% a year. Now I'm getting a little fancy with my goals because I didn't even think about the cash flow when I first wrote them down. Again, within 90 days of the first deal, which took 8 years, I had not only achieved my 20 units, but within 3 or 4 years, I'd owned 500 units. Okay. Fast forward 20 years, I owned 4,500 units. People laughed at me. People laughed at me for my little legal pad. I remember I went on a retreat, a 3-day retreat where nobody talked to anybody. At the end of the retreat, a guy came up to me. The retreat was supposed to make people better. And the guy's laughing at me. He's like, I see you use your little legal pad. What you write on your little legal pad every morning? Okay. I'm like, dude, I'm feeding my future. Look, people have been laughing at me for years for keeping my little legal pad there. People have been laughing at me for years for dreaming. People have been laughing at me for years for thinking I could do things that had never been done. I'm talking family members, friends, people close to me, people that say they're my buddy. Customers have laughed at me for thinking I could transition from one industry and vertical across others. You got to be obsessed. You have to be obsessed and stay obsessed with feeding your future so that you can end up with the future that you want. I remember when a girl I was dating asked me about the legal pad next to my bed. We were just dating. And she's like, hey, what's the deal with the pad? Okay. Do you write about me in that book, in that pad on your goals? Well, truth is I didn't write about her. I had never written about her. I was writing about my wife to be. In fact, when I wrote about the girl of my dreams, the future I was feeding, the mental picture that I got looked completely different than the girl that was in my bed asking me the question. At that moment, I realized I could never see her again. And I didn't. Look, if I'd stayed with her, I couldn't have. But if I'd have stayed with her, had I stayed with her, I would have been treasonous to my dreams, my purpose, my goals, and my obsessions. Treasonous. Look, there's enough people on this planet that will hoodwink you, trick you, lie to you, betray you. Don't stand in line and be one of them. At least honor your goals and dreams and purpose. I'll give you another example to show you how this works. I've always enjoyed writing. Since I was a little kid, I remember my dad wrote calligraphy, and I guess I was fascinated with his love of writing. And I've always written, always wanted to write. I think since 6 or 7 years old, I'm like, maybe I had a dream one day that I'm going to write a book. One day as I'm doing my goals, I was probably 27, 28 years old. I'd been writing these goals down every day for 2 or 3 years, and it showed up. I'm a best-selling author who has won many awards for my books. I'm like, where did that come from, man? Next day, it shows up again. I'm like, oh, wow, I remember I've had this goal. This dream of being a writer has been with me a long time. I wrote this every day for years. One Sunday afternoon, years after I started writing, years, I'm talking years, lots of years, okay? How about 28 years? One Sunday afternoon, I started writing my first book, Sell or Be Sold. That book was written in under 3 hours. Like it flooded out of me, like it was sitting there the whole time. That book has gone on to sell hundreds of thousands of copies and earn multiple awards. Since then, I've written 6 books, plus another 12, maybe 15 best-selling self-help programs that have gone on to sell hundreds of thousands and even millions of copies, land on bestsellers lists, win awards, and even make me a little bit of money. But most importantly, what it's done is fulfill a goal that I never thought I had, that I wasn't even aware of, which was helping people. I've made friends with people all over the world, okay? The biggest thing that I've gotten is I didn't have friends when I was in high school. I always wanted friends. I got friends in every country on every continent on this planet today because of the work that I've done. By using this daily goal practice to remind yourself of where you're going and why, I promise you this is going to work for you. It just requires a little bit of discipline to write every day. Write your future in order to achieve your future. Other successful people do this. Look, you probably know the story about Jim Carrey, who wrote himself a check for $1 million when he didn't have $10 to his name. He took out a check, wrote Jim Carrey to Jim Carrey from Jim Carrey, $1 million. As soon as I saw that, I wrote myself a check for $10 million. I'm like, why didn't Jimmy write a check with a 10? Now I'm asking myself why I didn't write a check with $1 billion on it. Look, the world needs more people who are obsessed, let's face it, passionate, driven, dedicated, all in, committed, relentless, people that are alive. You can't buy those things at a grocery store. You can't fake that. You cannot learn that at college. Having a great life is not going to be easy. Look, having an average life is going to be a disaster, okay? Having a great life takes effort. Having an average life is miserable. But it feels great to know where you're headed. And it feels great to know why. And that any achievement means you're one step closer or miles closer to your ultimate potential.